Chairman, American families want clear information about GMOs. They deserve that information. I urge my colleagues to support the amendment, and I reserve the balance of my time.
For what purpose, gentleman from Illinois, seek recognition?
Mr. Chairman, I wish to rise in opposition.
Gentleman is recognized for 5 minutes.
I'd like to reserve the balance of my time.
Gentleman reserves the balance of his time. Gentlewoman from Connecticut.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to recognize my colleague, Mr. DeFazio, for 2 minutes.
Gentleman from Oregon is recognized for 2 minutes.
This bill would deceive consumers. It would say that there will now be an FDA definition of natural. The FDA has never, ever wanted to try and define natural. And that it would include GMOs, something labeled as natural. Cheerios, naturally flavored. If it contained GMOs, they wouldn't have to say that. So consumers often, in fact, confuse the organic and the natural label. In fact, some polls show that consumers more often think natural is natural, and they're not quite sure what organic is. So this bill is going to muddy those waters further, deceive consumers, and have them buy things labeled natural that contain genetically modified organisms. Why is that in this bill? I mean, we can fight over the labeling standards for disclosure. Why are you going to muddy the waters and confuse things and create a new mandatory federal definition and label for natural that contains GMOs? Again, here we have all-natural vodka, creamy marinara. Wow, that's something. And again, this has a number of things in it that very likely contain GMOs. That wouldn't be disclosed, but they do have to disclose, and she does. Cellulose, sorbic acid, whey, xanthan gum, vodka. Of course, it's vodka sauce. So, but in the future, natural, contains GMOs, no disclosure. So this is really, really, I think, probably the most egregious part of a very egregious bill, preempting states' rights. Remember, this is the party of states' rights. Until a state does something they don't like, then we got to preempt it. And then they say, well, we can't have a proliferation of labels. Well, there's a very simple solution. My bill, one mandatory standard federal label that would say contains GMOs, and then that label could be sold into the European Union. You would be able to sell to about half of the world's economy with one label. Whereas today, you've got to have one label for the EU, one label for the U.S., and then a multiple of other countries where 50 major corporations sell their products. This is so disingenuous, it's very discouraging.
Gentleman from Illinois?
I'll reserve.
Gentleman reserves.